Hey guys, Fuzz here, hope you're all well. Today's going to be a Blu Ray collection update. These are the Blu Rays that I've picked up through the months of October and November.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
First up, Rear Window, the Alfred Hitchcock classic starring James Stewart and Grace Kelly, the 60th anniversary edition. Won't spoil it for you, but the character of James Stewart sees something through a window that maybe he shouldn't have. Second up, we have Machete. Machete is kind of what it says on the tin. There's lots of blood and guts. You haven't got to take it too seriously. You can have a beer and some popcorn with it. You can enjoy it all day long. Prisoners, I only came to this film recently on a recommendation. This stars Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. A really interesting plot development or character development within this, in that the Hugh Jackman character starts off in a very positive light, and maybe sort of it's his journey through a darker situation and becoming a darker character. One of the epics, the ultimate director's cut of The Warriors. The gang have to find their way back across New York City. And Bank Job, based on a true story about the royal family in England. A really good film, and probably goes somewhat under the radar a bit, but highly worth a watch. Really enjoyed this. Next up, Colombiana. This is a story of a lady who sees her parents killed and some years later becomes an assassin herself. Blind buy for me, so I don't know much about that. Clint Eastwood, Escape from Alcatraz, a bit of a classic now. His character is actually confined within Alcatraz and he tries to achieve the impossible. Nikita, this is the original version by Luc Besson, about an assassin, or a lady that's trained to be an assassin. I think there was a remake done with this, maybe Bridget Fonda, maybe it's called The Assassin, I'm not sure. Only God Forgives. This is kind of a strange one for me. I thought it was an intriguing film. I don't know whether I thought the narrative, I don't know whether I thought the story was a little bit too narrow for what maybe I was expecting. One thing's for certain though, the Christian Scott Thomas performance in this is absolutely outstanding. And finally, a bit of a guilty pleasure for me, Michael J. Fox, limited by the amount of films he released. Secret of My Success, great classic 80s film, easy watching. Yul Brynner, Westworld. I think if you're going to like sort of 70s, late 60s, early 70s classic sci-fi type thing, this is going to be for you, as is the follow-up Future World. Future World didn't do so well as Westworld originally, but if that's your sort of thing, you'll like this. If it's not, you're really not going to like it. Moving on to The Island of Dr. Moreau, starring Burt Lancaster and Michael York. Bit of a cult classic now. I think Planet of the Apes, that sort of thing, you won't go too far wrong. Moon, Sam Rockwell, I thought this was an amazing film. I thought it had thousands of plot twists. I really enjoyed it. And then a documentary about the late, great Ray Harryhausen, special effects titan. As you see at the top there, the contributors from it, you've got Steven Spielberg, James Cameron, Peter Jackson, Tim Burton, to name but a few. Just an amazing work of stop motion work. You think things like Jason and the Argonauts, the Sinbad films. Miller's Crossing, if you like gangster films set in sort of the 30s and the 40s, maybe the heyday of gangsters, Gabriel Byrne, starring also Albert Finney. Miller's Crossing, a Coen Brothers film, really good. Think Boardwalk Empire, that sort of thing. Connery and Snipes starring in Rising Sun, set in the corporate world of Japanese business. A good thriller, good action. I think these two actually play it well. An absolute classic, winner of 5 Academy Awards, Sidney Poitier in The Heat of the Night. Can't say enough about this film. It's basically a story of two policemen, one definitely more bigoted than the other. Just a racial tension film, top film. Paul Newman, Life on the Chain Gang, Cool Hand Luke. This is the deluxe edition. Really good film. Great performance by Paul Newman. Highly recommended. And then finally, Nightcrawler. This was a bit of a surprise to me, this was. I heard a lot about this film. I hadn't seen it. Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, in this is absolutely fantastic. If you talk about an actor and his craft and actually portraying someone slightly off, slightly creepy, slightly sort of shifty, then he gets this down. He nails this. He nails this character. Slightly disappointing maybe with the abrupt ending, but all in all, a really good film. 8 Mile, starring Eminem. 8 Mile, what can I tell you about 8 Mile? 8 Mile is a really good film as far as I'm concerned. It's such a good film that you haven't even got to like rap music or that sort of street culture type thing. You're just going to love it. It's a great film. Maybe it's a coming of age film. Maybe that would be a good way to explain it. Blue Velvet, starring Carl MacLachlan and Isabella Rossellini. David Lynch production. Absolutely amazing film. It's kind of a film which is sort of set on two levels. It may be like sort of a first look at a town and what goes on in the town, and maybe the undercurrent of a town. I won't give too much away on that. Zodiac, that's based on an actual true story, murder mystery story, really good film, highly recommended. And then on to Alan Partridge, 12 Hostages, 24 Hours, 1 Partridge. Alan Partridge is an English comedy type character. Lots of irony about that type of a character. I actually love Alan Partridge and all the things he's done. And finally, Drag Me to Hell, which is a scary fucking film. At least I thought it was a really scary film. It disturbed me for a couple of days, that film. I don't know, something about it that really got under my skin. The Last Days on Mars. For me, this feels like Alien to me. This feels like, not as good as Alien, but it's definitely in that area. And I was pleasantly surprised by this film. Really enjoyed it. Chariots of Fire, very well-known film, set in the challenge of the 1924 Paris Olympics, about 2 British runners trying to go for Olympic gold there. A very inspiring, uplifting type of a film. 71, Jack O'Connor's fast becoming one of my favourite actors. This is actually set in the Troubles in Northern Ireland in 1971. He actually finds himself detached from his army group and behind, I suppose, maybe enemy lines isn't the right word because it's not an army, but certainly in an area where he needn't have been at that time, and about his journey, actually how he gets back from there, back to his unit. Atonement, very poignant film for me. I think it's a film of what is. I think it shows you how life, through actions that are taken in life, can take you on very different paths. And then finally, Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. This is a great film. I'd like to think that Jack Nicholson actually enjoyed making this film. Really enjoyed it. It's set in a mental asylum in America. Jack comes in maybe as a borderline case, and he basically runs riot with the inmates. Really good film. Really enjoyed. Elysium, Matt Damon, Jodie Foster. Really well reimagined future look at the world and how things might be. The consensus of the film maybe being that the wealthy and well-to-do and the powerful will actually live off-world at this point, and it's only sort of the common and poorer people that currently live actually on the planet itself. Django Unchained, I had the steelbook to this, I sold it, it enabled me to buy a lot more films, so it was kind of a no-brainer for me, as much as I love the steelbook. This is Quentin Tarantino, possibly at his very best. Jamie Foxx, Christopher Waltz. Christopher Waltz I absolutely loved in this film, thought it was very good. But actually I thought, if anything, he might have been possibly upstaged by Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in this film. I thought Leonardo was absolutely amazing. Great film, western. The Shining. This has probably got one of the best endings. Stanley Kubrick classic, Jack Nicholson. Probably got one of the very best endings I've ever seen in a film. I love the way it kind of leaves you with more questions than answers. And then finally, Pit Stop. This is a blind buy for me. This is a race film. Sort of two drivers pitted against one another. But this is on the Arrow label, which they tend to sort of do cult classic type films, I suppose, and put lots of information, and you get lots of extras involved with them. John Travolta and Nancy Allen, a Brian De Palma film, Blowout. Basically, John Travolta's character is a sound engineer. He hears something which maybe he shouldn't have done. It turns into sort of a political drama about a framed murder. Highly worth a watch. This is Burt Lancaster, The Train. I love Burt Lancaster as a film actor. He's up there with Clint Eastwood for myself. This really is set towards the end of the Second World War, and it's about a German general trying to take out of France some very high-end oil paintings, and the process that Burt Lancaster and the resistance tried to do to actually stop him from actually achieving that. This is the remake from the 70s, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Everybody knows the story of this, but this is one of those rare films where actually I think the remake is as valid or as valued as good as the original film. Worth a watch. Another Burt Lancaster, Arrow Release, Brute Force. This is a prison break type film, really enjoyed. And finally Bound, which is basically the story of a character, Gina Gershwin and Jennifer Tilly, trying to steal from the mob itself. Okay guys, so that concludes my Blu-ray movie collection update for end of October and most of November. As always, your thoughts, feedback and comment are very much welcome. Until the next time, stay lucky. Cheers now.